Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. I'm sure most of you listening know that Apple held an event on Monday where they announced the long-anticipated addition of the thing that everybody's adding to everything in technology now. That's right, Apple has welcomed AI into the fold under the name Apple Intelligence, as opposed to artificial intelligence, which... it's almost cute. You have to kind of admire the fact that they just stuck with the same letters and put the word Apple instead of artificial. But many people had been anticipating this, and in the opening keynote for the Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC, that Apple holds every year, most of it was dedicated to the additions to their new, iOS 18, iPadOS 18, and macOS Sequoia. Getting all these features are going to let you do all these magical things on all the newest devices. And this was, again, everybody was expecting this because everybody else in the tech space has done it. So most people were actually just interested in how Apple would keep their privacy kind of aura around things like this, because there's a lot of concerns with that. And Apple has pledged to not only keep data private and secure, but to allow their methodology to be reviewed, which is a rare case for Apple, but it makes sense because that is the part of the reputation they have to guard the most fiercely, even if it means possibly opening a small flap on the black box for people to look into. And so, most of the news stories were around that. I watched and listened to some commentary on the keynote. I didn't find that much about it that I didn't expect in some form, so it wasn't really surprising. I don't think most people were surprised. Not by that anyway, but there was a point in the keynote, I would say, probably closer to the end, where I had this realization that nothing that I was hearing sounded that exciting from Apple. Not meaning the actual announcements, but the way that the individuals who were presenting were talking about it just seemed less energy than I expect out of Apple. Now, that's not to say any of them were bad. Apple doesn't do bad presentations. They have it down pretty good. Most people try to imitate them because they know how to keep it relatively concise, and they do keep a lot of fun in it with the Greg Federici parkour nonsense that they were doing. That's all adorable. Everybody likes that stuff. It's fun. It keeps people engaged, and that's fine. But the actual things they were talking about really just didn't feel like they had that much enthusiasm for. And I think that's probably because they really don't. This is a rare case where I feel like Apple did this because they felt they had to. Not because they actually believe in it. Not because they think they can actually do something compelling with it. They think they still can with the Vision Pro. That's the part of the presentation where you hear them still trying to... carve out this vision. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. This idea of what the Vision Pro is going to be. That's where it feels like their energy is. Even if most people think that that's a misfire, Apple at least seems to still believe in it. But as far as all the Apple Intelligence stuff, I just got to a point where I realized, they're saying what they're supposed to be saying, and they're doing it pleasantly enough, and they are, rolling out features that people will use, but it didn't feel like they really cared about it. And that's what makes me think that, because as most people have pointed out, Apple is the latest, or meaning they're coming late to the party on AI. It's what a lot of people, the narrative was. Oh, Apple's really behind, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? That doesn't really mean anything when it comes to Apple. Apple's never out front. They always come to the party late. But this in particular feels like a rare case where they actually did something because they felt they had to, as opposed to really feeling like they were delivering something nobody else could. That's the big difference. Usually when Apple comes to some type of product space, they have a perfected version, or what they think is a perfected version of it. They have some type of narrative that says, this is the best version of this. But I never got that sense. And interestingly, in the days afterwards, both in terms of what the professional writers and everybody were saying, and people that were just generally kind of talking about it, there was this very clear sense that what most people were really excited about was the calculator app and the math stuff that you could do with an Apple Pencil, which, don't get me wrong, it's neat and a calculator is nice. But when that's what most people are most excited about, when you had a keynote that was so centrally, concentrated on adding all these Apple Intelligence features, and what people are really excited and jazzed about is the calculator app and doing math, then that is, to me, a further indicator that I don't think Apple really cares about this. I think this is a rare case where they were forced to do something as opposed to believing in doing something. So I'd actually be curious. I'm sure many of you may have read the coverage or seen the keynote and kind of read into this stuff. I would be curious if you watched that keynote, if you've read the different things, what is your impression? Because for me, it's not like anything was bad, but it doesn't feel like Apple really cares about this. Later.